What's good, peeps? Thanks as always for passing by the channel. Much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Don't forget to smash that like button, please. And you can support your boy by going to my Patreon account. Link is in the description. All right, let's talk fighter of the decade. This isn't the official video. I'm going to do a proper sit-down video discussing all the runners and riders with Rob Tebbit of Boxing Social. We're going to get that video done in about 2 or 3 weeks, I think, when we get back from Saudi Arabia. If not before then. But let's look at the main contenders. Is it hook, line and sinker that Floyd is the boxer of the decade? Is it that easy? I put the question out on Twitter and a lot of people said Floyd, understandably so. But a lot of people also said Canelo and Pacman. A few people said Andre Ward. Not for me. Don't get me wrong, good wins in there. Chad Dawson was a good win. Carl Froch was a good win. And Kovalev was a very good win, especially the second one. The first one, debatable. The second one, obviously, destroyed him, stopped him. So Andre Ward is definitely in the discussion, but I think the three front runners have to be Floyd, Canelo, and Pacman. Floyd, see, the reason it's not hook, line, and sinker for me with Floyd is because he ended his career halfway through the decade. Floyd stopped fighting, 2015-16. We're not going to count the Conor McGregor fight. So Floyd kind of ended halfway through the decade. Can you be fight of the decade when you end halfway through it? I mean, was he that good and that dominant that a guy can literally stop halfway through and still be fighter of the decade? For the record, Pacman, I think, was voted fighter of the previous decade, right? And I think it was between Floyd and Pacman. So the fact that these two guys are both in the running for this fight of the decade just speaks volumes on how good they are, right? When it's all said and done, and you look back in about 10 or 15 years, maybe 20 years, Floyd and Pacman are rubber-stamped top 10 for me. I mean, I could make an argument to go lower, but I'm just going to say top 10 for now, and then people can have that conversation as to where they are in the top 10. But rubber-stamped. For you to both be in the reckoning or the running for fight of the decade, 2 decades back to back, fucking hell. All right, let's look at what Floyd done in this decade. So Floyd, good wins, very good wins. Shane Mosley. Do people remember that fight with Shane Mosley when Shane Mosley literally took his head off with that punch and Floyd regrouped and literally destroyed Mosley and won every single round after that? I mean, it's unbelievable. The composure when he went back to the corner, looked up to his trainer, I think it was his dad, and literally said, it's fine, we've got this. And then just started to dominate and literally break up Mosley piece by piece. Phenomenal performance. Canelo was in this decade as well. Beat Canelo. Young Canelo, but nonetheless schooled Canelo. The first 2 or 3 rounds were good. Floyd made the adjustment and then it was literally just easy work. Easy work against big Canelo. Yes, he was young, but big Canelo. Pacman. Manny Pacquiao. Yes, the fight wasn't when we wanted it, but considering what Pacman has done after that performance, that just makes Mayweather performance look even more incredible. People might say, yeah, there was a shoulder injury and all this and all that. No fighter goes into the ring fully equipped. Every fighter goes into the ring with niggles. Every fighter, right? You hear them say it. He destroyed Pacman. Pacman, 6 months after that performance, destroyed Bradley. I mean, phenomenal, right? What else is there for Floyd? Maidana, back-to-back with Maidana. The first one wasn't great. The second one adjusted, won. Guerrero and Berto. Is that enough to be fighter of the decade? Is that enough? What's the biggest win in that? The biggest win in that for me is Pacman. It's Pacman. Canelo, again, looks better because of what Canelo's gone on to do. But I think the biggest win is Pacman. It should have happened 5 years sooner, but they're both getting old at the same time, right? So I think that's the biggest win. All right, let's look at Manny Pacquiao. Incredible. Manny Pacquiao started the decade beating Margarito. Pacman, when he started his career, probably weighed the same as my right leg. And then he's fighting Margarito, 154 pounds, and he fucked Margarito up. And I was happy because I hate that little cheating shit. But he fucked Margarito up. Ended the decade beating the unbeaten Keith Thurman. I mean, he's fighting guys not in his era and beating them. When I thought he was done, we all thought Pacman was done after the loss to Jeff Horn. We all thought he was done. Came back and he's beat Lucas Matisse, stopped him. Matisse. Adrian Broner, Keith Thurman. In between that, there's been wins against, who's he beat in between that? He's beat Marquez. He's beat Timothy Bradley. So solid win. So we're talking Margarito win, Keith Thurman win, Marquez win, Bradley win. But there's been a couple of losses as well. Lost to Jeff Horn, which does hinder him, I think, a little bit. Lost to Jeff Horn, lost to Floyd, and got stopped by Marquez. Got beat by Bradley as well, but I think he won that fight. But in saying that, the one where he beat Bradley, I think he lost. But that's Pacman. I mean, again, starting the decade, beating Margarito, ending the decade, beating Thurman. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And then there's Canelo, right? There's Canelo. The only loss in there for Canelo is Floyd. Floyd got him when he was young. Floyd was smart. Floyd got Canelo when he was young, right? Canelo now is a different beast. But I think he's a different beast because of that Floyd loss. Watch Canelo prior to Floyd. Watch Canelo after Floyd. Canelo even tries to fight like Floyd now. Defensively, off the ropes, everything he does, the way he slows down now, doesn't waste his punches. Who does that? Floyd. He's copied Floyd a bit. So he's learned from that defeat. But then you look at what he's done in the 10 years and boy, it's impressive. It's impressive. Shea Mosley was in those 10 years. Austin Trout was in that 10 years. Lara was in those 10 years. Cotto was in those 10 years. James Kirkland was in those 10 years. Kermit Sintram was in those 10 years. Gennady Golovkin twice. Won a draw. Second one in those 10 years. Danny Jacobs in those 10 years. And then finally, a few weeks ago, Sergey Kovalev in those 10 years. That's impressive. Again, I did this video, or at least talked about this video 8 months ago. 8 months ago, gave it to Floyd. 8 months later, Pacman has beat Keith Thurman. 8 months later, Canelo has beat Danny Jacobs and Kovalev. Who has the best win? Out of all those three guys, let's remove Ward from the equation. Although we can bring him in because I think Kovalev was a good win for Ward. But let's remove him from the equation. Who has the best win out of all those three? Like, what fight was in your head, 50-50, this is risky, this is close? Pacman, Thurman? Pacman, Margarito? By the way, that Pacman there, the Pacman that fought Margarito, that just the year before bashed up Cotto, frightening Pacman. Canelo GGG? I mean, Canelo Jacobs? I mean, Canelo Kovalev? No, not Kovalev. That was a shit performance. Not a shit performance, but a good performance. But we know the issue with Kovalev. Who has the most impressive win? And we got to say this, does the clenbuterol issue affect Canelo? I mean, do you have to remove him because of this drug issue? Or is that just a case of he got caught, all the others are doing the same thing anyway? I don't know. But again, we are going to discuss this with Rob Tebbit. Is there anyone we're missing out? Because sometimes I feel like the lower weight classes guys get ignored, the Estradas of the world. Everyone ignores those guys. Do we need to add them in? I don't think so. I think it's difficult to look beyond those three. Again, Andre Ward's on the outside, Vasyl Lomachenko's on the outside. But, I mean, what those three have done is incredible. And what Pacman has done, for Pacman and Floyd, to both be in the conversation when they dominated the decade before. Anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know. Peace.